What is going on, everybody? Paul here, coming at you with an ICO review. This time we're going to be taking a look at a project that seeks to completely overhaul a process that many of us rarely see. Perhaps the majority of us are accustomed to purchasing stuff. Cups, plates, plungers, pictures, scissors, those little twisty things that go on the end of bread so you keep your bread fresh. Yeah, stuff like that. We buy things all the time, but the process by which these things are made is often a mystery to us. Sure, binge watching a few episodes of how it's made on Netflix gives us some niche insight into how certain things are produced, but not really. That's because the process of making most things requires many different facets and inputs, and oftentimes highly specialized in today's industrial world. This can lead to many points of estimation where producers of goods simply have to kind of make their best estimate as to how much of what to make and when. This oftentimes leads to either unnecessary waste or an underproduction of a particular good, which in general is reflected by an unpalatable rise in price. Enter Productivist, a company that seeks to solve these issues by using blockchain technology and their existing company, Freelabster, to better facilitate the production of various goods for their clientele. This is achieved through the revolutionary technology that is 3D printing, a relatively new innovation that's taken the manufacturing world by storm and is only set to continue its current trajectory of disrupting the existing manufacturing base. So, let's get into our review of Productivists and see exactly how they seek to accomplish such a feat by building off of their existing business model. But first, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I a lawyer. I'm just a dude on the internet, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. You can see here a hard cap of 238 million Productivist tokens, which, given the current price, should pop up here in a second. Yep, 10 euro cents. That's about $25 million or so, which is a reasonable ask in terms of an ICO. I may have mentioned before, I normally use the Ethereum ICO as a landmark in my head. They raised $18 million, and look at what they've accomplished so far. Surely Telegram doesn't need $2 billion, 100 times that. Anyway, let's look together at Productivist's mission statement. They want to create an open data stream whereby private companies of any scale and individuals can help to power the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Productivist's blockchain project aims to innovate the way we currently work, creating a new standard of smart manufacturing production. Thanks to blockchain, our open ecosystem will manage the manufacturing 4.0 chain of command, decentralizing the production. That's critical. A remote, secure, effective solution for manufacturers and their clients, ensuring not only secure data, but also transparency. This is really a big issue to tackle, but like I said, critical. As the global population continues to expand, resources are consistently needing to be managed in a more efficient and energy effective manner. Why produce something in Poland, for example, and ship it all the way to Spain when a local Spanish manufacturer would be happy to facilitate the production if only the two knew about each other and had a means by which they could transact? That's exactly the type of service Productivist seeks to facilitate in a decentralized manner. Moving on, of course, you guys know me, I like to check these little things here, and looks like 1, 2, and 3 out of 8 of these actually don't go anywhere, but I'm willing to let this one slide. Oversights do happen, especially when you're already running a company. I may have mentioned before, they do have an existing company, Freelabster, behind them, and that kind of changes the game when I'm reviewing an ICO, personally. Why is that? Because most blockchain projects that I come in contact with are using their ICO as their first means of raising capital. That's how they're going to get their money that they need to start their company, start their business. That's not the case so much with Productivist or with Kairos, if you remember that ICO review. With Productivist, they already have an existing business model, they have capital inflow, and they have money coming in. So realistically, an ICO is a great way to ramp up their production and enter into a new market using blockchain, but it's not exactly being used to start from the ground up. They've already done that hard work and have proven themselves in some degree. So I'm willing to let that slide in that regard. This is one of my favorite components of the front page of the website. I think this is one of the most informative little pieces here. It gives you a good example of exactly how Productivist's blockchain-driven manufacturing ecosystem stacks up against the existing manufacturing model that you see in the world today. So let's go over this pretty quickly. You can see the existing model is inefficient. It's expensive to source, of course, because you're only getting it from one or a handful of places. A minimum order quantity, it might not be profitable to make 10. You might have to order 50. That's always a bummer matter if you only need 10. Unverifiable track record, you really don't know what these guys have made in the past. You can get an idea, but that's resource intensive. No progress tracking, you don't know when it's done, it's just kind of done when it's done. Lack of intellectual property protection, people can take your ideas. Even if it's not legally allowed, it does happen. Logistics, time, and cost, that's a big factor, and of course that leads to ecological imprints that's really large. Imagine shipping something all the way from, let's say, Dubai to France, for instance, which are the two places where Productivist is based. That costs a lot of money to ship things in between those two locations, and if it could be sourced locally, it would save a lot of money. Here we can see Productivist business model. Efficiency in all processes, inexpensive sourcing, local, no minimum order quantity, again, because it's localized, verifiable track record, thanks to the blockchain technology is verifiable, real-time progress tracking, again, thanks to the blockchain, it's all digitized, you get an idea of when things can be done, which means less estimation for a producer, which ultimately means more money in the economy. Full intellectual property protection. If a computer sees that something is copyright, it's not going to build it because that can hold the producer liable. Manufactured in the same region. That has a huge amount of savings just simply because lower shipping costs, and that lower transportation means better manufacturing and a lower ecological footprint. Good stuff. Over here you can see the estimated market size of smart manufacturing, $400 billion estimated by 2025, and about 1.6 billion euros saved because of a system like Productivist. It just says like Productivist because Industry XO had a study that showed if you combine autonomous robots, AI, blockchain, big data, 3D printing, you could revolutionize the way things are manufactured and ultimately save a lot of resources for everybody on the planet. So that's really cool. Moving on down. This just kind of explains how multifaceted 3D printing is. Lasers, packaging, CNC, 3D printing, wood, 3D modeling, engineering, all of these different facets come into play when you're dealing with manufacturing, and Productivist seeks to touch base on all of them just by essentially marrying people who need stuff and people who make stuff. That is probably the biggest way to make money in the world. If you are the middleman and you're able to do it fast, efficiently, and basically put people in touch with who they need when they need it, that's a fantastic value proposition. And scrolling on down here, this is one of my favorite parts. They let you see what they're working on in a visual prototype. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. This is the manufacturer side. This is what you could expect to see if you are renting out your 3D printer. I guess not renting out, but just picking up jobs from the Productivist ecosystem. You can see here, let's just go ahead and click this one. This is called the cockpit, and it looks like it shows the amount of items printed or revenue for a specific time frame for 3D Lab X. So if 3D Lab X wants to get an idea of what orders they had, what materials, where they're being shipped, what clients they have even have a little billing section here. They can see it all using this display. So that's really innovative, really sleek. Same thing over on the client side. I don't do much 3D printing, but the technology just fascinates me. So seeing something that's extremely accessible like this, nothing that requires a huge amount of learning curve, that requires 1,000 or something hours of reading, something that you can just plug into, put up your idea, and boom, there you go. It's really attractive. You can see here there's a little 3D model. Looks like down here people are commenting on the actual files, and then you have the file history, which is where it's been sent and things like that. That's where the copyright protection is going to come into play. If a file history specifically shows that it's copyrighted by a company, having somebody go ahead and manufacture that, it's clearly an indicator that, hey, that's fraudulent, and the manufacturer could be held liable. So this reduces fraud, increases overall manufacturing capacity, and overall looks pretty sleek while doing it. Let's go ahead and get into the white paper since we basically wrapped up the website over there. I'm going to go ahead and start down here near page 7. We are Freelabster, simply because this is our next step. We're going to check out a bit of the white paper, roll on into Freelabster, and that'll wrap up this review, simply because Freelabster, I mentioned it before, it's the cornerstone of Productivist. It's the kind of the launch pad, if you will, for the Productivist blockchain ecosystem, because it proves that not only does the business model work, but it's in high demand, which is a fantastic proving grounds and proving point for what Productivist seeks to do. So who is Freelabster? Well, they were founded in 2016 by this nice group here. Can basically connect 3D printing manufacturers with clientele who needs that kind of service in a localized manner. Let's see if it's said here. What is Freelabster? Yep, connecting B2B, small and medium-sized companies. That's their big focus here, small and medium-sized enterprises. Since one of the things that was mentioned on the main page you saw was the fact that there's minimum order requirements. Larger companies will not have a problem with that. A large company, huge business like Walmart, they're not going to order 10 flower pots. It just doesn't make sense. They're going to order hundreds of thousands, millions of flower pots worldwide, and maybe even control elements of shipping. So with that idea in mind, they don't really care. What it impacts is the mom and pop shops, or the small franchises that are just trying to get started. That's where this scalability really comes into play, and that's where everyone's going to benefit from it. So this really just talks about Freelabster and how they have a bigger vision using Productivist, and how they really grew out of what they have now. It says 3,000 plus here in the white paper, and that must have already increased because it's 3,500 plus here on the Freelabster website. So they really are growing quickly. It's really impressive in just 2 years to have that kind of clientele base, going from 0 to 3,000 in 48 months is really impressive. 24 months, excuse me. Yeah, 24 months. That's impressive. On average, 48-hour turnaround time. So you can go ahead and use that sleek UI, put in the information, get connected with a localized manufacturer, and within 48 hours, boom, you have your item. That's fantastic. I had over 10,000 3D printers listed and available on Freelabster.com, allowing us to supply clients across Europe with cutting-edge technology along with the latest printing methods. I read somewhere around here, I'm not going to dig it up, they were able to, they're based out of France here in nice France, and they were able to, oh, here it is, UK, Italian, and Spanish markets. So yeah, another in 4 countries. That's fantastic. Like I said, 2 years, 4 countries. That's picking up a country every 6 months and picking up tons of clientele every day. Let's go ahead and take a brief look at Freelabster. 48-hour turnaround time, 3,500 certified Freelabsters, 4.8 star review. And really, there's not much more to say about it. When you have an existing company that's on the books, I did some research on their analytics. They're a legit company. This website gets a lot of turnaround. So yeah, when you have something like that, when you have an economic base by which you can grow out of into the future using something like this, which is clearly going to benefit from a decentralized protocol, having all the centralized servers to manage this kind of stuff is, it's kind of necessary to an extent, but if you can put it on the blockchain and incentivize all parties involved to just create the ecosystem as you go and you just manage it, fantastic value proposition. So when it comes to Productivist, and I guess by extension Freelabster, I think they are positioned incredibly well. I genuinely do. I really think that this is they got something good going on here. There are a lot of people who have a lot of needs in terms of manufacturing, and there's only so many places you can get them, and by embellishing the freedom of choice that people have in their business life, you can make a lot of money doing that, like I said, by serving as the middleman. Now let's go ahead and look at the team real quick. I'll head back to the website. These are the people involved. You can go ahead and check them out if you want on your own time, but like I said, the chances of any of these people not living up to their credentials after having an existing business model like this drops off significantly. So because they're not starting from the ground up in terms of, they're going from 0 to 100, they already have an existing model, that's fine. So these are the people involved. Cheers to them. Cheers to Productivist. Excited to see some more things coming out of them in the future. Brief look at the roadmap. They got it all the way to 2020. So yeah, that about wraps up this review. I think they're positioned well. I like what I see. They're asking a solid amount of capital for a solid value proposition that's going to come to fruition probably over the next 5 to 10 years as we see productivity shift more towards decentralized manufacturing, is simply because it's just so much more cost effective. We're very much in a period of flux right now, where the existing manufacturers, they have a lot of weight. They really have a lot of capital, a lot of money, but we're seeing them kind of go the way of the dinosaur as they lose their flexibility in the face of these new and innovative technologies. So we'll keep an eye on Productivist moving forward. Like I said, none of this is financial advice. This is just my opinion. If you like this kind of content, let me know below in the comments. That's actually how I found out about Productivist. The team commented on one of my videos, said, hey, we'd be happy if you take a look at this. I said, I'm not making any promises. Took a look, and hey, like I said, I love 3D printers, and this seems like a solid project. So yeah, cheers to them, and cheers to you guys. Let me know what you want to see below in the comments, and you may very well see a video about it. Like, share, subscribe, join our Discord. There's always good conversation going on there, and check out our website, cryptide.cc, where here shortly you'll be able to see an uploaded interview between myself and the Productivist team that they were cool enough to do with me. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon, and remember, the tide is rising.